Hey everyone, my name is Tina and welcome to the G-Sport Hub. I promise this channel is not gonna be only for interview translations. So here is my first series, I guess. Meet the team! Now the first thing we're gonna focus on is V3, the only V number team left because V5 in the LPI rebranded. So there is no more chance to see these two teams in the same international competition. Will V3 in any capacity possible to make international competition? We're gonna talk about this. And since LGL is gonna switch to a BO3 format, it's now to know the team's history more and like the current roster as well. So V3 doesn't really have the best reputation internationally. Hell, even in Japan they don't have the best reputation. But for international fans, there are probably two occasions they heard about V3. One is 2020, the Worlds, which wasn't the best, but we're gonna talk about this. And the last streak last year, which has ended in summer, but it's still not the best look for the team. So why this all happened? Should you write off this team? Let's start in the beginning. 2017, when the team was formed and first played through the LJL promotion series. For 2018, they entered the LJL. The team had a mixture of veterans and rookies, some of them who are not really relevant nowadays, but also people like Kakak or Kazu were on this team. 2018, they were not really special, and in the summer they were almost relegated, but through the promotion series they stayed in the LGL. This all changed in 2019 when they had some really impressive roster swaps. First of all, they got Pez in the top lane. He just recently retired, but he was one of the best top laners in the LGL. And they also got Acee in the mid lane, who we'll talk about more later, but the team did fairly well. Even though in Spring Split they didn't have the best showing, they ended kind of again in the middle. But since we didn't have relegations anymore and we had more teams, that is a fairly okay start. The big upswing started in summer though, when they got to playoffs and only lost to DFM in the finals. And now they're entering the 2020 super team. And I want to talk more about the context, what happened, some dramas, because I think this is a very important foundation to understand the 2022's roster. And because a lot of people stayed this year's roster as well. So, 2020 super team. Names like Paz, who just recently retired, Boogie, who's on TSM right now, Ace, a pretty good mid laner that time, who switched to coach for V3, and just this year coming back as player again, and the botlane Archer, who we're gonna talk about later once again, and Rhino, still one of the best supports in the league. This was by all definition a super team, but you know what was not really super in 2020? Yes! COVID just hit, and it actually was a source of a lot of drama in V3 and eventually the reason why we are seeing the current formation. 2020 spring actually was very similar to last year because got to playoffs and just lost to DFM. But finally it all changed when 2020 they won LJL, defeated DFM in the finals, and got to Worlds. 2020 Worlds, which was not the greatest year for LJL. We had the same score as LGD. And yes, we lost to the tiebreakers, and it's kind of surreal to say we had the same score as LGD. This is where the drama starts. As we later found out from a well-known Japanese insider, V3 had some nasty internal problems. I don't think there were ever confirmation about this officially, but according to insider information, what happened was both Boogie and Archer asked to leave the team, but since their contract were still going, V3 denied this. So what they did was they just left money there for a penalty and just left the team and went back to Korea. I don't think I have to say, but it didn't really look good for V3, and thus the 2020 super team imploded. 2021, instead of Pez, Kakak returns on the top lane, and we got two new Korean imports for the jungle and ADC positions, MooJin and Hollow. And kind of same story as last year on a lot of levels again. Similarly in spring they were good, but only lost to DFM in the finals. And this is where the differences start. In the summer playoffs, suddenly just MooJin disappeared. They had to play their first match with Unica, their academy jungle, and even though they won the match, it was still weird because there were absolutely no communication about what happened to him. Drama. On August 19, just a few days after the first match of the playoffs, MooJin's brother, a streamer called Necklet, went live. This is all his words, and that's just one side. I'm gonna talk about V3 side later on. Just mix them together. This is how everyone should consume dramas. just mix together both sides. Anyways, on his stream set, for context, MooJin had some lung problems from an earlier accident. So obviously, even in general, the whole COVID situation was really hard for him. And he was talking with his brother about V3 not taking COVID seriously enough, to which his brother suggested him to just leave the team and take the first flight back to Korea. And this is basically what he did. And it took until August 24 for an official statement from V3, where they stated a lot of things, but TLDR, after Acee, their mid laner, was tested positive for COVID, MooJin didn't feel too safe about how the others at first didn't test, but they did a few days after. But then V3 said they kept all the government regulations and they were everything according to the law, I guess. Obviously, both sides are gonna be biased as in every situation. All we know officially is that MooJin requested to go back to Korea on August 8th, and even though V3 didn't want him to go, he went back on August 16th. The team also denied that they would neglect COVID, and as I said before, they took everything according to the government's regulations. And to end this statement, they said MooJin went back to Korea because he felt more comfortable testing himself in Korea. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. They said that they are waiting for MooJin to return, but in the end, it never happened. So why did I spend about 10 minutes talking about a roster that has nothing to do with the current roster? Because I like talking about random LGL lore, also known as context. Really no surprise that after this all happened multiple times in 2022, V3 went for the complete rebuild. This includes kicking the whole LGL team, including players and staff. And what they did was just promote their whole academy team, including everyone. Well, almost everyone. Just before that, V3's academy team was actually pretty good. They won the LGL Academy League without losing a single match. And now it's all tying together because when I said almost everyone were promoted, except Marble. He had a pentakill there and just in general really good performance throughout the games. So when you take out this piece, 2022 happens. But for real, I hope this whole context is helping you understand the situation this 2022 roster was put in. If you never watch their games and just look at the scoreboard, you might think that this team got absolutely stomped in every single game, and that's not true. I'm not saying they won every single lane, but it was not nearly as bad as the source suggests. They played well in the first parts of the game. It was the team fights where the team started to collapse. And with no real practice against better teams, which was the Academy League before, the whole rookie team clearly didn't work out. And even summer, it was only 3 games that they could win, which is an improvement, and the team actually were improving. As for 2023, we see 2 changes to this team. First of all is Acee returning, who used to be the academy coach, now going back to being a player. Wow, 2023 is really the year of unretiring globally. And instead of Unica, they have a new jungler called HRK, who used to be known as Curap, their academy jungler. So why did I talk about V3 for so long and not even the 2023 roster? Because I think it's important to know the circumstances, to know the team more, to know why this all happened. I think all of V3's bad reputation just comes from really bad circumstances. They are sponsored by a Japanese high school, and their bad reputation among importing players, you can see why they are the full Japanese team now. People see 5 relatively unknown Japanese players and their track record, but I think that's really unfair to them. They were clearly not ready for LGL that time. We've seen multiple times that the all-rookie team almost never works out. You always need some veteran voice in a team, and they just lagged it last year. But they kept improving, they kept showing people that they're passionate about this game, they kept showing the people that they're funny.
はい、VC スポーツの ADC のドレスコードです。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。自分がお辞儀して自分が言いましたね。ザタッチの幽体離脱みたいな感じでした。びっくりしました今ね。はいさあ。
And not just a Riot broadcast, but on Twitter as well, they showed that they are a fun team to watch for the players. So, if nothing else, I want you to take away one thing from this video. Their failures, from what we know, were not on the players. They were always put in very bad situations, and not just by the team. Don't forget that all of these things happened during the pandemic. It was a very hard time for everyone. And even though they were not ready for LGL, they want to show that they are now. So you can say whatever you want about the team, but let's cheer for the players and let's follow their journey. On the top lane, Washidai, who said on Twitter, even though he had the hardest time in his life in his first year of LGL, still had a lot of fun moments, and he hopes that people keep supporting his team and himself. HRK in the jungle, previously known as Kirep, who is one of the promising academy players making his debut in the LGL. I personally heard very good things about him from his older teammates. They say that everyone should definitely keep an eye on him. Acee returning to the mid lane, who actually stayed with V3 since 2019. And after 2 years of coaching, he wants to show that he is not ready to retire, which is a retirement, a weird thing in esports. He's younger than me, and we're talking about if he should retire or not. I feel great covering esports. Dresscode, the AD carry, who literally were pulled from scouting grounds, not even academy. Understandable that starting your career in the main stage is not ideal, so I can't wait to see his development further this year. And support hetel, who is also a very promising young Japanese player, ended first in scouting grounds, ended first in academy league, and wanna prove himself in the LJL as well. I know V3 is probably not gonna end first this split, that's a little too far-fetched, but what I am hoping for is this team can find the synergy, that this team can have fun, and finally show the world that they are ready for the LJL. Thank you for watching me. I'm planning to do these types of videos for each team. Let me know which team you want to see next. And until that time, bye bye.